Welcome to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Now, here's your host, Jenny Jones.
Hello, it's great to be with you today. I am Jenny Jones, your host of the Black Business Podcast. And joining me today is Mr. Anthony Grigsby of Stockton, California. He's with World Events Insurance. Today's show is brought to you by the $5marketinggarage.com, where all of your online digital marketing needs are met inside the garage. I am super excited. I've been knowing this brother for a long time. He is so busy. I can't even believe he's sitting here today. We got him on the show. He found time in his busy schedule, and he's able to join us here on the Black Business Podcast, where we connect entrepreneurs, small businesses, and consumers with their Black dollars. Listen, folks, without no further ado, Mr. Anthony Grigsby of World Events Insurance. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Hey, man, Jenny, I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad you reached out to me. You know, it's an honor to be on your show. I had to make time for you, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate that because I know how busy you are down there, work with all these small businesses and everything. But listen, man, like I do with every other guest that comes on the show, I am anxious, man. We get on this elevator, we're riding to the 47th, 48th floor. Listen, man, tell me what you do, man.
Well, you know, basically, man, what I do is I handle people's risk and management. I sell insurance, I manage their risk, I help them make the right choices. And, we get out there and steer them on the right track.
Well, listen, man. Okay, let's get down to Black business. So when you say manage people's risk, I mean, I could be an entrepreneur. I've never been to school. I've read about it, seen other people do it. What does manage people's risk mean? What does that mean?
Managing people's risk is, think of it like Chris Rock pointed out. Insurance is in case ish happens. And that's what insurance is all about. We're here to help people manage in case something happens. We always think nothing's going to happen. I'm a Black business, man, my clients are great. They're never going to sue me. Nothing's ever going to happen. And that's when something's going to go down.
Wow. Okay. So are you telling me, are you a loan shark? I mean, if something happened, you show up with a big check or something like that? I'm kidding, man. We're going to dive into, we're going to get into the meat behind that. But listen, so one of the first questions I have is because, we've had a lot of businesses on the show. I don't go through this Q&A and ask them, do they have business insurance or anything like that? But you would say out of most of the businesses you run into, because you do run into a lot of businesses, even for the first time, even in your community down there in Stockton, California, I mean, you would say how many of the business you run into, what percentage of them even know about business insurance? Let's talk about that for a minute.
To be honest, I would say 50% of the businesses legitimately have insurance. Many of them, those that don't have insurance, they know about it. They don't feel like they need it. But, in this climate, and especially in California is a litigious state. And so you can get sued for anything. And the how insurance really protects you is a business may actually have to defer their liability onto their client just to protect themselves. You mind if I give you a prime example?
Yeah, no. Yeah, go ahead, man.
So I had a client, and I write a lot of insurance for concerts and festivals, which are, can be pretty risky. So a gentleman ended up picking a fight, and it got turned around on him, and he ended up losing the fight and got hurt pretty badly. So he sued the promoter. Well, the promoter went through a lawsuit. He fought it. He realized, he couldn't get anywhere with it. So what he did was he assigned his liability onto me. And so that alleviated from him, and he passed his liability onto me. And so the lawsuit then was passed down to me.
So let me digest that. So when you say pick the fight, I mean, so it was a concert, mm-hmm. and someone was promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person that was promoting it. Oh, it was a concert. Take me through that because you were giving me kind of a high level. I want to know who the players were and how did that unfold. Let's go back through that one more time.
Sure thing.
Get it.
So a patron, a customer who was attending the concert picked a fight with another attendee of the concert.
So they were both at this concert.
Correct.
So one person said, "Hey, I don't like the way you looking at me." So he picked a fight with another person.
Correct. Okay. And lost the fight. Man, I got my nose bloodied, my eye. Man, I picked the fight, but I got beat up. Right.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then he decides to sue the concert promoter because he got beat up because the concert promoter didn't protect him.
Whoa. Stop right there. So, and that happens though. I mean, when you bring that up, because everybody's like, well, nah, you the reason why I got beat up, because it should have been enough security there to pull old boy off of me that I was getting beat up by. Is that kind of how the story went down?
That's kind of how the story went down.
Okay, yeah. So now let's go back through it again. So I get there, I start a fight. I don't like the way he looking at me. He don't like the way I'm looking at him. I get in a fight. He beats me up. So then I go to the show promoter and I say, you know what? I'm gonna sue you because you didn't have enough security.
That's correct.
Okay, now go ahead. So who are you representing now?
Excuse me?
Go ahead and take me through the rest of the story. Go ahead.
So now the concert promoter is then fighting the lawsuit, from this gentleman, through his attorney.
Legitimate lawsuit, by the way.
Any lawsuit is legitimate in the courts. It's up to them to then decide whether or not
prove the difference.
It can be proven.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And so the gentleman, so my client is fighting the lawsuit, spending thousands of dollars fighting the lawsuit. And finally, he realizes that, I'm not going to win this. This isn't going to go away. I got to get out of this. His attorney.
This is a promoter. This is the promoter talking. Okay, got it.
The attorney says, well, we can assign the liability to the insurance agent that sold the policy. So it got transferred to me.
But here we go. I don't know why. Now, I'm not in the business head, but I don't know why if I hired you to cover the liability of this event, I don't know why. I'm not even saying I would have been thinking about that. I'd have really been trying to figure out backpedaling, trying to get this lawsuit off of me. I don't know why I wouldn't have really went to you at first, because you held the liability in your hand for anything that went down, right? Or no?
Absolutely. And many times, they would come to me first, but he went to his attorney instead. Now, when this liability gets passed on to me, I'm fighting the lawsuit. Of course, I turn it over to my insurance because even an insurance agency has insurance.
Yes, I learned that a long time ago. So he turned it. Now, let's make this clear. He didn't turn it over to you. He didn't turn it over to your insurance. He didn't turn it over to your insurance agency, who until carried the liability ticket of that. Is that correct?
Correct. My agency.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So I'm just trying to make sure. You're like, man, I had to go write a check. Like, no, my agency carried the liability of this event. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. And go ahead. I'm sorry. You wanted to finish up?
We're getting, basically to the end. So, my insurance fights the lawsuit against me. But the whole thing about it was he was suing me because I didn't have get my butt kicked insurance for this guy at a concert. So long story short, I ended up winning the lawsuit, but nevertheless, if I did not have insurance, I would have been out of pocket a great deal because he was suing me for $1.4 million.
Okay.
For getting his butt kicked.
Okay. So as the event, okay. Wow. So that's interesting. So there's all types of insurance, right? So I know in our community, right, due to COVID, we haven't been having a whole bunch of functions. Like I've gone to white linen parties, right? Everybody's wearing white linen and stuff like that. So if I'm at a white linen party, if I'm thinking about even hosting a white linen party, right? I come to you and say, hey, how much would it cost to do an event like this or something like that? You look at what? What's the first thing you look at if I approached you like that?
First thing you're going to look at is what type of event you're going to be hosting. You mentioned it's a white linen party.
Right.
We're going to be looking at the location of the event. We're going to be looking at the number of attendees that's going to be there. If there's going to be liquor sold, or if you're going to be giving
that is the question. So if there's liquor sold, my rates actually go up.
That is true. Now
because there may be a fight and somebody may need to get kicked butt insurance.
yeah. So now we're adding on liquor liability coverage.
Okay.
It's important if you're not only selling it, but even if you're giving it away, like at a wedding.
Oh.
Your host liquor liability is then covering you, because you are responsible for your guests from the time they leave their party to they get to their next destination, because you have provided them with liquor. And if they get to an accident between then and there, you're liable.
Oh, really? So let me get this right? So if I'm having a wedding, right? And let's say I go to a hotel Aviance, right? Let's call it Hotel Aviance. With Hotel Aviance, because I'm using their ballroom and they had an open bar or whatever, are they assuming the risk? Or am I, because I invited all my wedding party to come there? And and it's not a trick question, it's just so I understand how it works. So I think I'm gonna assume some of that risk too, though, if I'm having a wedding. Is that
yes.
Tell me work?
So both parties assume the risk. The hotel has liquor liability coverage because they are providing the liquor, but you are providing the party that your guests are getting liquor from. So you are given what we call host liquor liability, and you still carry liability as well in that situation.
So let me tell you this, and I don't know this, and I love having people on the show that can expand our knowledge and grow our range. And we're going to be doing a lot more on the big announcement that I'm going to make at our expo coming up on December 4th and 5th. But listen, do you think the average person knows that, hey, we're putting a wedding together? I think, my wife would be like, oh, I want to make sure Ray and Pookie is coming and they're seated here and all that. And they're trying to do that. But in actuality, a bigger liability is trying to make sure if we're going to be serving alcohol, that our guests are covered. Do people actually think that when they're having a wedding?
Some people do. We get calls where some people are really on top of, planning their wedding or planning their event, and they knowing that they need certain liabilities to cover themselves, and many people don't. Some people are unaware of additional coverage that, is not really prevalent. Now, since COVID has happened, it's come to light a little bit more, and that's what you call cancellation insurance.
Oh, really? So, tell me about that. How does that work? I'm having a wedding. I'm ready to have a wedding. I was supposed to have a wedding this summer, let's just say, right? I planned it last year and I was going to have it this summer of COVID. And so now I got to cancel because I can't do all of that. So is that how that works?
Yes and no. Now, it can't be canceled by COVID, but let's say you are planning your wedding and you have big pockets, because we know you got big pockets.
Oh, yeah. Look at me. Yeah, right.
And so your wedding is, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 wedding. That's a big chunk of change on a very important day for you and your fiance. Okay. So you have the ability to insure not only if your wedding gets canceled, if your wedding gets postponed, if the venue goes out of business, if one of your vendors goes out of business, you can insure any of your losses so you don't come out of pocket if any of that happens.
Really? So what would a premium like that cost me? Just, you don't have, I know you always got to run quotes and things are always case specific, but what would if I bought insurance against that, what would something like that cost me?
Here's a prime example. I actually wrote an insurance policy for a $100,000 wedding in Italy, because we actually can do international insurance as well.
Okay, so let me get this right. I'm gonna let you finish your story. So you're just not a Stockton business, because that's where you're headquartered, and you're Black, which is good. He's Black, he does business insurance, and he's in Stockton. All right, so let's get that clear. But you're saying you could do U.S., all U.S. states and international?
I can cover an event if the insured is based out of the United States and they're doing an event in Italy. I've written events in Africa. We've written events in South America. If they're based in the United States and doing an international event, we can cover that.
Man, what you say? Okay, so finish that thought you had. Somebody was doing an event.
Yeah, so they were doing a wedding in Italy. The wedding budget was $100,000, and their insurance ended up being about $3,500 to cover that $100,000 worth of liability, worth of wedding insurance.
So it's really it's minimal, right? It's $3,500 in comparison to $100,000.
Exactly.
But it's sure. Okay. So, and that's really how insurance works. I mean, I used to have an insurance license. It's transfer of risk, law of large numbers. And now a lot of people steer away from insurance because they think it's too expensive. Can you give our audience, whether it be entrepreneurs, right? And I'm going to drop a serious question on you. So I want you to be ready for it. But
okay.
Can you give them, no, because you really need to be ready for this one. So can our viewers, they think what's out of reach, is it really affordable for a small business? I'm starting up a small business. What would I be looking at? Or so, it depends on the business type and depends on the risk of the business, right? So go ahead.
You know, insurance really is not that expensive for what you're putting out. Think about it. You're putting your idea is coming to fruition. You are getting out there and taking a chance and being an entrepreneur. Not only are you investing in yourself, but invest in protecting your idea. You can get it for as little as $350 a year. Average business for a BOP, which is a business owner's policy, you can get that for $500 a year. Okay. Not very expensive at all.
That's good to know. So that sets up my next question, which is honestly, listen, I'm gonna look around. This is really the reason why I pulled you on this show. And you're like, oh my God, what is this about? No, because you're gonna resonate with this. It's not a loaded question, but it's one that needs to be asked. Now, you're in a lot of African-American business rooms. I'm in a lot of African-American business. I'm talking about social rooms where we're trying to connect people and their Black dollars, things of that nature. You're in a lot, I'm in a lot. You run a couple, I run a couple. But what do you say to that young entrepreneur, business startup person that says, hey, I want to start making butt cream, booty cream, eyelash cream, right? And you know where I'm going with this, because you see that a lot of people say, oh, we make cream, we help you do this, right? Our cream removes black spots from underneath your eyes, right? Nobody been to dermatology school. Nobody's a scientist, right? No, help me out. Don't start laughing, because you know I'm serious. If I'm making this up, then you know I'm not making this up. So I got this new cream, right? You can use underneath your eyes and it makes your wrinkles go away. I ain't never been to school, no certifications, never been a dermatologist or anything like that. So now I'm selling this with my Cash App. So DM me on the side. I can get you some in a little red tube. What kind of liability is that? Talk to me.
That liability is what you're going to be going to call a products and completed operations liability. And what that's going to do is you are creating a product that you are selling someone, and they are using that product, and they may use that long after you've sold them the product. So 3 years down the road, I
get a rash,
and I come back, man. Hey, Anthony, man, you sold me this cream. I've been using it for X amount of time, and now it's starting to break me out. I'm suing you. Well, you're looking at it two ways. Your product and completed operations, your product liability is going to cover you. Now, let's talk about that small business again, okay?
Yeah. I'm
that small business, and either I don't think I need the insurance, or I had the insurance, but man, times are tough. Nothing's happened yet, man. I'm gonna let my insurance lapse for a while. Maybe I'll get back to it. 6 months down the road, maybe I'll bring it up again. So I have insurance, but now this issue happens. The insurance company is gonna look at your track record and say, you had a lapse in coverage. Your insurance has not been complete during this time period. We don't feel comfortable taking care of this claim because in all honesty, you're not showing seriousness with your business. And that lapse in coverage can hurt that product liability. Now, if that lapse doesn't happen, you stay intact, you have a good opportunity of covering that claim.
Wow, so that's a lot. So I think people need to know, right? Because a lot of people, and I always use this term, right? I use it with my clients. I use it when people come on the show. People think you can just roll out of bed and start a business. They just be like, I guess I'll start a business making butt cream or eye cream and sell it to the masses on social media because it's really easy to do right now. Hey, cash at me, right? Or let me give you another one, right? Let me give you another. So that type of insurance, what would something like that? Maybe I need $1 million policy. I don't know. Because usually when people sue you, right? I learned this, and I've been in insurance, man. I've been around them. Usually people assure you. Usually when people sue you, they don't sue you for 25,000, 50,000. They try to go for the gusto. Am I making this up?
Yeah, no, you're not.
They like, listen, I want, and now what I like about insurance companies, this is stuff I learned just being in this game, is the insurance company, and they got a claim against $1 million, they're gonna send out some heavy hitters to protect that mill.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Man, I need to get back in insurance. No, I'm just kidding. Because this is the stuff that I understood. I said, before they write $1 million check, now they may say, okay, this 5,000, 10,000, yeah, we'll do that or whatever. But if somebody got you on the hook for $1 million, they big attorneys is going to fly out from the corporate headquarters and figure out what's going down, right? So that's one thing. So let me give you another one. Right. And the only reason why I brought you on, like I said, I brought you on the show because I started seeing a lot of things happen and I didn't like the pattern. So now I cook, right? And I make grandma's famous pies, right? She got her little recipe. I got it. I'm serving them up out of my house using my stove right here, but I need to supplement my income. Listen, I'm side hustling, right? Right. So is that important to have some type of life? Man, I ate your pie, man, and my stomach is toe up. I got to go to the hospital, man. They gotta get into my intestines, and talk to me about that.
That's going to fall under your general liability insurance coverage, and as well as your product. But that if someone's getting sick off of your product and they're going to come at you for that, that's going to fall under your general liability. Even if you are operating a business out of your home, which many people do, and that's right. Okay. A lot of people start, in that small environment and grow from there.
Right.
Even that situation still requires you to have general liability coverage for what you're doing. And that's important. That will cover you in a situation like that.
So I can call you and you can help me with the general liability.
I can help you with general liability.
Even though I'm at my house.
Even though your house, it's just in-home business. There are policies for that. There are policies for you think of the liability, they've created a policy for it.
Man, so say I haven't really turned a profit yet. I just been I'm spending a lot of time or a lot of money doing Facebook ads, which that's another story. We ain't even gonna get into that. I think, and I'm spending more money doing that versus concentrating on my insurance. What would a policy of general liability? Listen, I roll out of bed, I'm gonna start using grandmama Sugarfoot's famous recipes and make some pies. What would a policy like that cost me? And I don't know, maybe I want to just get $250,000, right? 250,000, right? What was something like that off the top of your head? You don't have to be, I know numbers are what they are, but what was something like that to give the people an idea?
Get people idea. We have special packages and programs for many different types of insurance, types of businesses. We have a food liability program. If you're like a home, a person working from home, and you're a caterer / entrepreneur / vendor, you can get an annual policy for something like that for as little as $180 a year.
Wow. So
not much at all.
So really, we could transfer risk of somebody eating our stuff, a bad hot dog, bad taco. No, so let me ask you this, right? Because this happens. This is California, right? Mm-hmm. I'm eating your pie. It's like, man, it starts singing, man. Start talking about the singing guy, did the Patti LaBelle thing. You're like, oh, Lord. And I eat your pie and I start choking on it. And then something happened to me. could the family say, hey, he was eating that pie from, Anthony's Sugar Mama's recipe, famous pie. She delivered it. Here's the receipt. Do people come? People do come after you for stuff like that. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. And once again, general liability. If you're working at home, general liability is going to kick in to help you cover that. Because, like you just said a moment ago, insurance companies want to protect their investment. If they are investing in you, you become an asset to them. Now, granted, insurance will pay out on a legitimate claim, and that's why we have it. But they will do their best as an insurance company not to pay that if they don't have to. So they're going to go to bat for you and to help you protect that.
So really, and where I think where people get short-sighted on that is, listen, if you get a big enough policy, this is me thinking, right? The business side of me. If I get a big enough policy, if somebody sues me, they're going to sue me for $1 million, $500,000 or whatever. And I got that coverage. Then my insurance, I just hand it off to you guys. Hey man, this guy said I did this, said it's pie or whatever, right? I made a pie from Mama's restaurant or whatever. So your big attorneys get involved and be like, hey, listen, we're going to look into that. We're going to ask them. And then, so I let the big boys handle that, and I continue doing what I got to do.
And absolutely. And that's what you pay for insurance for. You let the big boys handle it while you continue doing what you do. That's their job.
So now it makes sense when you say the transfer risk. See, you couldn't say that when we first opened up this podcast, man. You couldn't say, I help people transfer risk, because a lot of people didn't know what that meant, right? Mm-hmm. But now it's understandable what the transfer of risk is. Okay, so let me ask you, let's get into some somewhat technical questions about you you run your own insurance agency. Are there a lot? Because I haven't ran into too many of you guys, and I ran back into you, and you're like, hey man, I'm doing this now. And I remember you used to put on a lot of events. That probably led into, man, people don't have insurance. Let me find this need, because that's what we do as African Americans, right?
Right.
So talk to me, man. So tell me, how did you get into this business, and are you seeing a growth in African American businesses, even picking up insurance? But how did you kind of get into this business and your background a little bit?
I got it, as you mentioned, Jenny, I came from the event promotion and management background.
Because you used to do a lot of events.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did a lot, and I enjoyed. That was a great time, in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. But as I got older, I saw insurance as a solid business, a solid future. And you got to remember, we're in California. Here's how I got started in insurance, Jenny. I was talking to a guy I went to college with who was an insurance broker at the time. And I said, man, you like insurance? And he said, you know what, Anthony? He said, you have your car, you have your business, you have your home. As long as you have any of those things, you got to have insurance.
True.
You have to. If you don't pay me, you're going to pay somebody.
All right.
Man, and when he told me that, I ran down there and got my insurance license.
Okay.
And because number one, you see it as a legitimate business. It's going to be around. It's been around since. Matter of fact, one of the first policies was written in the 1400s.
Yeah. Knowing the history of insurance, I do know it's been around for a while. So you got into it. From doing events. You said, listen, let me start doing that. So how have you seen the growth from African Americans getting their business insurance? Matter of fact, have you seen the growth of African Americans doing business, period, and then getting insurance? Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. In the climate that we're in, I've seen a tremendous growth in the number of African American businesses that are growing, people that are taking a chance, people that are learning about business and seeing the potential and the need to create businesses for our community. Businesses creates jobs, and jobs create growth in our community. And on that same token, many of the businesses have learned that doing business requires protecting my investment, and protecting my investment is done through insurance.
And the transfer of risk.
And the transfer of risk.
You keep saying it, but that's really what it is. You're transferring your risk. You're taking your risk. He's like, well, I can trade pennies for dollars because somebody's going to sue me for $1 million. So let me transfer this over here and pay $130 a year to transfer that. And I remember when we first, because I used to be a barber, right? I was a barber back in early 90s, right? Again, I don't know what business I haven't done, right? I'm just an entrepreneur, right? And such as yourself, we're always trying to look and trying to help and grow and do different things. And so someone told me once a long time ago, they said, listen, if somebody come in this beauty salon or this barbershop and you don't keep the hair swept. I remember there was a big thing, sanitation and sterilization is big when people think, oh, well, I'm going to learn how to cut when they become a barber. They don't teach you how to cut. They teach you about sterilization and sanitation to keep those things from not affecting your business and you messing up somebody's head and stuff like that. And they kept saying, hey, always keep, and I remember I was the newest barber, they said, keep the forest flood, keep them swept. Because if somebody comes in here as an old school OG barber, says somebody comes in here and slips and falls on his hair, they can sue all of us and shut this whole place down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. They slip and fall. Now, and what normally happens is because I come there all the time, and I'm helping somebody out through this story. Because I come there all the time, I come to the barbershop all the time. Ray always cuts my hair. He hooks me up with a nice fade. He lines me up and I'm good. I don't want to sue the barbershop, right? I don't want to sue the barbershop. But somebody else says, man, you should sue them. That's normally what happens. Right. Because I don't want to sue them because I always go to them and I was like, man, nah, I'm going to let it go. And somebody says, man, you got a case. And you know what? They're 9 out of 10 times they are right if a person slips and falls. But it's normally somebody else encouraging them, man, you need to go and try to. That's why then that happens, you transfer that risk. You said, man, you can come on, I'm transfer that risk. So talk to me we're going to kind of wrap it up with a few more, with about at least one more major question is, protecting oneself through a sole proprietorship and protecting oneself through a limited liability corporation, which already you're trying to remove some liability from the whole aspect. So what's the difference in a quick summary? What's the difference in carrying a sole proprietor? It's just me, right? Jenny Jones, sole proprietor, versus, Jones Inc. Incorporated. What are the difference in the pricing, and does the insurance look at me different as a liability of transferring these to a limited liability corporation versus trying to carry that risk on myself individually? I had a couple of questions there, but kind of help me. I think you know where I'm going with that.
No, okay. And that's a great question, and it leads to a couple of answers as well.
Okay.
The insurance, depending on the size of your liability, the size of your insurance policy and your business, insurance company can look at you in a couple of different ways. As you said, they are assuming your risk. They're taking a chance with you. And as a business owner, you're also building your business and building your future. So if I encourage every business owner that I know to transition from a sole proprietor to at least a minimum of a 1-member LLC at the least. That number one, it helps you with your liability, as you mentioned a moment ago, but it also shows an insurance company that this entity is becoming a serious entity, and we can look at their liability a little differently. So it does help in many ways, not only from an insurance standpoint, but just from you building your business standpoint. You want to establish yourself as a minimum in LLC. Maybe you want to incorporate, but you want to talk to your financial advisor to see which one works best for you, but definitely transition out of a sole proprietor. You're opening yourself up to too much liability. As an insurance person, I'm going to tell you, if you're a sole proprietor and you own that barbershop and that person slips and falls, it's not you, but maybe the next guy does come and sue the barber. And he has the ability to sue the barber for $2 million. Well, his insurance his policy can only cover $1 million.
Okay.
Now he's going to be personally on the hook for that extra $1 million, and I can go after his personal.
So let me ask you this. So if if I have a sole proprietorship, is my premium going to be lower as a sole proprietorship or higher as a sole proprietorship? Just off the bat, my premium, if you know off the top of your head.
In the beginning, it could be the same as a sole proprietor or an LLC. In the beginning, it can be the same. But now, if you become a business where you're doing, 6-7 figures, or you're becoming a serious
legitimate business,
then if you're still running as a sole proprietor, that may affect your insurance rates because you're gonna hold more liability.
So and increase your exposure too. So I think you said some very key things there, and I think when I'm teaching students in the classroom as an instructor, professor, one of the things I share with them is the importance of removing the liability from yourself as soon as possible. Because if I'm a sole proprietor, let's use the barbershop or beauty salon as the easiest one to give you an example. Let's say I own a barbershop or the beauty salon, but other people rent chairs from me. Mm-hmm. And say somebody come in and you cutting people hair, you trying to give it that fine cut with the clipper, and you cut somebody's ear, you cut their ear off or whatever. I'm just using extreme, right? They come back trying to sue that barber. They know that barber ain't got no money really, but they know the owner of the barbershop will probably have more money. So they shoot the entire barbershop. Me, if I own it as a sole proprietor, I'm done. So my car, my house, my let me tell you all the other stuff that Black people buy, my Louis Vuittons, my Nike collection. I'm being funny, but I'm
Yeah.
being serious too, right? And so I have all these things. I got a little dog named Ruffy. He very expensive, right? He got a little barrette in his hair. They get him too, right? Because I've opened up my entire liability pocketbook for somebody to take me out because one of my barbers wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. He cut their hair. So now I'm out of business. And I ain't got no house and nowhere to live.
And no car.
And forgot my car because I got to drive a nice car because I'm Black, right? I got to show everybody that I'm making money. Oh, sorry, that's a whole nother podcast. But listen, but that's normally what happens though, right?
Absolutely. That's normally what happens,
Man,
it can be
crazy.
That quick with an incident that you were never expecting and all of a sudden you lost everything. Yeah, it can happen.
Let me give you another one, and I'm gonna close this out. And this has been a very good podcast, in the fact that a lot of people are not even thinking about these things, right? And what we're gonna do, and like I said, we always do, is I try to bring things that I always try to educate my listeners or my viewers in these types of things. But listen, let's say you just start a barbershop, and let's say you're coming up, right? We call it in the black community, oh man, he's on the come up. Right? Are they still using that these days?
They still use it, man. At least I do.
Oh man, he's on the come up. Now he had his own barber chair. Now he knocked out the wall to the other building. Now he has 4 barber chairs. Now he's rolling up, right? He's rolling up with his beat. Dude, Biggie, can't you see? He got his rims on there. He's got the deuce shoes, right? Is that what they still call them? I don't know, right? He's got the 22s on his car. So people see you coming up. They say, yep, he's got money. So they trying to come up on your come up.
Uh-huh.
So they come in there, slip and fall, you gone. Come on, talk to me now. Help me out.
Man, it happens.
Okay.
And if you're a business owner, you have to protect yourself. And that's just the bottom line. But let me throw something else in there as a barber.
Uh-huh.
What people, and a lot of barbers, or professional hair stylists don't realize is you're also a professional. So you have to carry not only your business general liability or your BOP to cover your property, you also have to cover your professional liability as well.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're doing some hair and you're my client and I'm doing you up, and I say, yeah, girl, this is how we're gonna do this. And when you get home, man, put this in your hair and do this and woo. You get home and you do exactly what I just told you, and your hair fall out.
Oh Lord.
Now I'm coming back to you.
Oh,
you
for sure.
told me to do this.
Oh, for sure.
You're the professional. I'm suing you. Professional liability is going to protect you on that. And so
Wow. So how much is a professional liability policy? Just it's funny because people always throw these questions at you. And I know you always have a range. You said, listen, it's going to range anywhere between this and that. That's fair. So how much would something like that cost me?
You know, you can get your BOP married with your professional liability as, say, a salon owner for little of $700-800 a year. And it might come in with not only just a few thousand for your business property, because you got to think, if you have a salon, if my salon burns down tomorrow, what is it going to cost me to replace everything in here? You got to take that into account. So you want to cover your property. Now, the last thing that's going to be in that BOP is going to be your business interruption insurance.
Yeah. So now I'm out of business for 6 months while they rebuild it. I can still get paid.
I can still get paid.
Man, don't be throwing out BOPs, man. Tell people what that is, man. You probably said it already, but come on now.
It's a business owner's policy. It's basically a bundle package of your insurance.
Got it. So it covers, an array of different things to keep you afloat. So these are important issues, right? So you out there, young entrepreneur, young business, small business, trying to get it off the ground. These are some things that you need to know about. And I'm glad brother Anthony Grigsby was able to come in and kind of break a lot of this stuff down. Now he's going to give you his contact information because he's on a world tour, right? I don't know. It's probably a rap reference, right? I'm on a world tour.
Yeah. We still got that.
Okay. I think I was playing a 80s rap thing that came on. We're on a world tour. I don't know who that was, man. Tribe Called Quest, right?
Yeah.
So listen, we have fun on the show, but listen, we about our business, right? We about trying to help other Black businesses who are on the come up, right? We're trying to help them protect themselves. Brother Grigsby stopped by. He wanted to share that news with us. And again, he's on a world tour. He's available nationwide or internationally, right? I need to call you up because my wife and I were looking at some real estate in Hawaii as well. So it's funny thing about that. I'm gonna close it out with this, and I'm gonna start dropping you guys some serious nuggets, right? So my wife comes to me. She says, "Hey, I'm ready to go back to Hawaii." I said, "Okay, well, we need to start looking at some properties in Hawaii." Right. So it made sense because I'm like, she's like, "I want to go back there." I said, "Well, when we go back there, we working. That way we go in there for business, and we might spend, every day we're gonna be looking at different property and stuff like that. But we are looking at acquiring some property there, but we're going there for business." You see what I'm saying? And because we have a limited liability. So our company is we don't have, sole proprietor. We have limited liability. We strongly believe in that. But it's about understanding how this business game works. We have something that just what I just explained that concept to you. I told my wife, we're going to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii on a business trip. And by the way, we're going to be out on the beach too. Right. So you need to understand. So with that being said, I am going to be making a major, when I say announcement, I'm going to be making a major announcement concerning your business growth, your knowledge of business, your knowledge of operating in different areas and sectors of business and growing, right? Everybody knows I do real estate. I do real estate investing. I'm going to have different things in that level. It is going to be on another level. And here's what I tell you, and here's what I promise you. If you attend our event on the 4th and the 5th, when I make this announcement, this is a game changer. There are a lot of rooms out there, African-American rooms. Oh, we buy black or black all the time. I'm doing something that is not being done. I'm doing something. So I did the Black podcast. A lot of people say, "Oh, I like your Black podcast." A lot of people are doing that. I was the first one that did all interviews, all video interviews. We don't do the podcast through the ear. We want you to see the people that you would be doing business with. I'm getting ready to do something that's on a level that no one is doing currently in the African-American community. But you need to be able to get that ticket so you can find out. You need to be able to get that ticket. We have the tickets now, discounted tickets. Why don't you give them your discount code, man? They can get a discount. What is your discount code?
And I'm glad you brought that up. Man. If you liked anything you heard today, I have a lot more information for you guys, and I'm going to be appearing on the Black Business Podcast Expo December 4th and 5th. Use my code Griggs, get a little discount, and come and get some more knowledge.
All right, so what is that? How do we spell that? Just in case we want to.
Griggs. Griggs.
Griggs. All right, use that on the checkout. And he's got a little discount for you if you're going to use that. So listen, we had some fun today. We went back. We had some old 80s reference rap songs. We had some good liability. I even dropped in a couple of real estate nuggets, right? We talked about a sole proprietorship. We talked about going into a limited liability. We talked about transferred risk. We had a lot going on today. So listen, Brother Anthony Grigsby is going to tell you where you can find him and locate him, call him. He's on a world tour. I love saying that, man. He's on a world tour. Give him your information, my brother.
Hey, man, you can always find me. You can call me at 888-389-3900. We're on the web, worldeventsinsurance.com. You can always find me there. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You look it up. We're there. World Events Insurance. We're here to help you out.
Man, give us that number again, because here's what I don't like when I'm doing business, right? People say, hey, call me back, 1-800, blah, 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 blah. Like, man, I didn't even get that. So get that to us one more time, Rules. They might need to get a pen and a pencil, so go ahead.
That's right. Get your pen and pencil ready. 888-389-3900. 888-389-3900.
World Events Insurance.
WorldEventsInsurance.com.
It's easy to remember because he's on a world tour. He can insure you no matter where you're. If you're in Atlanta, you're in the ATL. Down there, I got some real estate investment partners down there. I'm gonna make sure that I turn them on to you. It's an African American company, and so no, man, it was great having you on the show. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the show today, you need to subscribe. You don't want to miss another show like this. Every show that I have is guaranteed to learn at least one new thing to accelerate your business, or as a consumer. You're going to learn some different things, and you're going to learn and see who these people are. So like or subscribe to our show. We're on YouTube, right? We just search the Black Business Podcast. You're going to find us on YouTube. You're going to find Shop Black Business podcast.com, where most of our show guests end up, and you're able to find and connect with them a little bit further. You're also able to find us on our podcast, which is the Black Business Podcast. And you're able to find us on Facebook at facebook.com, the Black Business Podcast. Listen, this has been your host, your boy, Jenny Jones. I love empowering my people about the education and the knowledge of business. We are trying not to perish. We're trying to make this thing go on, and we're trying to educate and empower our people. Listen, you guys got to get to that expo. Tickets are going fast. It's a virtual expo, so you don't have to go there. You can show up in your pajamas if you want to, right? But it's going to be on the 4th, December 4th, which is a Friday, and it's going to be on December 5th, which is a Saturday. All day Saturday, starts at noon on the 4th. If you get your tickets now, the early bird tickets, you're going to have access to every single speaker's presentation and demonstration for the next 100 days after the event. All right. If I have enough people and we sell out of all the tickets, I'm going to leave the entire event documentation, speakers. I'm going to leave it up for the entire year. If you get a VIP ticket, man, I'm just giving away stuff today. We got my man's promotional code Griggs. I love connecting with my Black people, helping you grow your business. Love, peace. We out.
Thank you for listening to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Hosted by Jenny Jones. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. If you want to learn more about all our podcast guests and spend your Black dollars with them, visit our online store at shopblackbusinesspodcast.com.